It's hard. Easy is not an option. It's hard living. Life is hard. See, it's hard when you are 49 years old, been working on a job for 17 years, and they come in and tell you you're finished and give you 1 week severance pay. And you got to start all over again. It's hard when you are married and raising children and your children are crawling and your husband dies unexpectedly. It's hard handling just the tragedies of life. It's hard when you're working on something and you put everything you have in it and it doesn't work. It's hard.
I realized that information changes situations. And so I'd rather buy a book than buy a house. Because if I buy a book, I can buy several homes. But if I buy a home and I don't have the right information, guys, you could burn my house down and it wouldn't bother me. Well, how do I know? Because we have the blueprint and they can rebuild it. You can take all my money out the bank, but if you take the knowledge out of my head and take the experiences that I have, I'm broke, I'm nothing.
The disappointment drives you to find something more important inside of you. Or not getting it makes you look for another aspect of your life, a spiritual aspect, a family aspect, a physical aspect. If you can just trust that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, then you can find in any situation a benefit that can take your life to the next.
That's the number one thing you have to do, is to work on yourself and to fill yourself up and keep your cup full. Keep yourself full.
You got to make your decisions accountable. To who? To your actions. So first side, boom, decision. Second side, I want you to write down every single action it's going to take to make that decision a reality. You hear me?
Every one of us in our life is going to face situations where it feels like we have total trauma, something that's been taken from us. The real question is, what are you going to do with it?
That you can forget about failing that test. You can forget about being a disappointment to your mom, a disappointment to your dad. The fact that you didn't finish school, the fact that you got a divorce, the fact that for real, you feel like a failure. So you've been trying to make the rest of your life the best of your life, but you've been holding on to being a failure too. Forget about your past and make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Necessary to start talking to people and seeking and asking for what I wanted and leveraging relationships and trying to find out, how do the people do it that went ahead of me? How do they do it? And then what is it I need to do? How is it I need to train myself, to develop myself? What's the resources that will be required in order to make it happen?
We're in hell right now, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell, 1 inch at a time.
Listen to me, your life will never be the same again. All the failures, all the mistakes, all the hurt, it's over. Hear what I'm telling you, it's over. Poverty is over. Lack is over. Like, you're about to live like next level, abundance. You're about to start doing things and you're going to start seeing success.
You have a choice to either give up or keep going. Give up or get up. When you fail, try again and again and again.
Everything in your life happens for a reason. Your responsibility is to look at these things in your life and ask this question: why now?
You need activation energy to start the change, to start to sit down, to start to get out of bed, to start to walk out the door. That's the key to creating any kind of change. This activation energy inside of you that causes the initial boom. And then what do we hear over time? Once you start, there's a chain reaction, and that allows you to keep going.
You have to act on your passion. You have to act on your inner drive. Don't let those feelings stay inside of you. You got to know what to do with them. You got to know how to make them work in order to get what you want. Don't keep it inside.
You want to improve? You want to get better? You want to get on a workout program or a clean diet? You want to start a business? Where do you start? You start right here. And when do you start? You start right now.
Everybody, at one point in time in your life, to be successful, you have to jump. Jumping is the hardest thing for people to do, but you have to jump. If you never jump, you'll never be successful. When you first jump, I guarantee you the parachute ain't gonna open. I promise you that. But guess what? Eventually it does open. And then you start your glide. But it starts with the jump. You have to jump, man.
No matter how painful it is, I gotta keep going. And I gotta keep going because what is my passion? What is my focus? Your focus and your passion will numb you to failure and to pain of striving to get to where you're trying to go.
I don't accept that I am what I am and that is what I'm doomed to be. No, I don't accept that. I'm fighting. I'm always fighting. I'm struggling and I'm scrapping and I'm kicking and clawing at those weaknesses to change them, stop them. Some days I win. Some days I don't. But each and every day, I get back up and I move forward with my fists clenched toward the battle, toward the struggle. And I fight with everything I've got to overcome those weaknesses and those shortfalls and those flaws.
So literally, without goals, you're directionless. You will be used. See, people without goals get used by other people who have them. People that don't have goals work for people who do. And so you want to be someone who picks up and gets clear about what you want. Make a list, 101 goals. I want to go to Paris. I want to, skydive. I want to bungee cord jump. I want to play the guitar. I want to learn to juggle. I want to learn 2 magic tricks for the kids. I want to go to the Olympics in Beijing. Whatever it is, make the list.
You have to delete all the negativity in the world and focus on things that make you feel great. So you could focus on a relationship you have. You could focus on how much you've already learned in the last 6 or 7 or 8 days. You could focus on the people that love you. You could focus on your ability as a human being to change your life at any moment.
And then you do it. You see it, you believe it, and then you do it.
The hard part is getting over it in the beginning. 3 weeks, it's a habit. It will be ingrained in your central nervous system if you do this every day for 3 weeks. Studies show this. The first hardest part are the first 5 days. Once you do that, once you get over that, things become really much easier for you. And then you're on this path towards greatness. The anxiety goes away, the fear goes away, the stress goes away. The hardest part about getting a ship moving is the beginning. That's where, like the NASA shuttles, the most fuel is used in that launch. That's where the most energy and effort is required. And we get caught up in the trap thinking that that's the energy required and the effort required throughout the entire process. And that's not the truth. You will adapt. It will be easier for you. But it's a matter of getting over that fear in the beginning to then get to that point where it's ingrained in your central nervous system. Then you're on autopilot. Like if you ever wrote a paper for school before and it's really hard in the beginning, you procrastinate, and you just put it off. And then it's like the night before or something that it's due, and then you just like sit yourself down and do it. And the first 15 minutes, it's like writer's block, it's hard. And then you break through. And then it's like you're on autopilot after a while. And it's like, where are these thoughts coming? It's just unbelievable how the brain works. And you're like, you're writing a million miles a minute. It's like thoughts that you never even thought of before are just coming out. I know this has happened to you. And then you have to almost pull yourself away because you have to go to bed to get some sleep because you're just like on this path. And that's how life is. Once you get involved in something, it just goes on autopilot to where you start thinking of like really elaborate stuff, higher level stuff that beginner people who are outside do not experience, So from the outside, they look at these successful people and they're like, how do they do this? I don't understand how they're able to do this. And of course you don't, because you never immersed yourself in that process. But once you immerse yourself in that process, you could do it too. They are not made of something different as you think they are. They're flesh and blood like you. But life is more about conditioning and habitual routines and stepping outside this comfort zone than it is about genetics. You have a genetic envelope, no question. And you may be endowed with certain gifts and qualities, but I guarantee you that many successful people wish they had qualities that you have, because no one's perfect in this world. Everyone is imperfect, right? But you can't be on this quest to be perfect. You are imperfect. So the quest is not to be perfect. You will never get there. If that's your goal, you will fail in that goal. The quest is to be the best you. And the only way to be the best you is to break through your fears. Because that is the brick wall to your comfort zone. And if you break down that brick wall, that comfort zone just expands. And it knows no bounds. So literally everything on this planet could be within your comfort if you choose to break down those walls.
obstacles, and a lot of them you just can't predict. They're just going to blow up in your face, and if you're just waiting to be sure that every single step is there, you're done. Okay, on top of that too, guess what? You're going to be psyched out. Okay, you're going to be like, oh my God, there are all these steps to take, and you're just never going to do it because it's overwhelming. Just do the first step. Even if you don't really know where the next one's going to be, just start now. Okay, on one hand, it's realistic and it's not too overwhelming. You know, whatever it is you're trying to pursue, there is something you can do right now. Even as you're watching this video, you can probably pause this video and do something that'll kind of kickstart you in the right direction. You won't get overwhelmed, and guess what? It's going to start building momentum. Okay, and this is key. Every single step of the way, it's a little easier to do the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and then they just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it becomes easier and easier and easier.
Do you know what makes someone successful? Do you? Three things. Three things will make you successful. A continuous interest in improving yourself, being self-aware, and work. And I mean lots of it. Improve yourself. Improve yourself continuously. Never stop developing yourself. Develop a passion for improving yourself. Develop a passion for learning. Improving yourself begins right where you are. Yes, improving yourself starts with an education. Improving yourself starts with school. You did not come to school to slack off. You did not come to fail. Instead, you came to learn how to be great, to be the best leader, to be the best academic, to be the best at whatever you want to do. Don't let your friends deter you. Don't let friends distract you. Develop yourself. Show them that there is better. Show them that you're different. Improve yourself. Study hard. Study long. Give your all. Give it everything you got. Successful people don't get to where they are by following their friends or pleasing them. Instead, they lead. They lead and committed themselves to self-development. They exercise their mind. They learned. They studied. They passed their exams. Nobody will do it for you. Only you can do it for yourself. Only you can put in the work. If you're not prepared, if you do not work, you will lose. You will never win. You will always be behind, and you will never be great. To be successful at anything, you have to get to know yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to know what your strengths are. You have to know what your weaknesses are. You have to get to know what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, and what you're not good at, what your learning styles are, where you study best. Learning about yourself will build your confidence. It will change your behavior. Studying will become easier. Passing your exams will become easier. It will get you places where you've never gone before. Getting to those places and staying there will take determination. It will require that you never give up. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on your goals. Life will throw things at you. Teachers will throw exams at you. No one promised that life will be easy. What is promised is that you can do it. You can do it. You can win. You can pass your exams. You can be the best. You can achieve your goals. You can become whatever you desire to become. But you have to be determined. You have to want it bad. You have to want it so bad that you will never give up. You have to want it so bad that you're willing to lose sleep for it. You have to want it so bad that you're willing to lose friends over it. You have to want it so bad that you're willing to work hard for it. And never, ever give up. Giving up is not an option. If you can dream it, you can do it. If you can think it, you can do it. Just believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams and fight for it. Tell yourself that you're in it to win it. Tell yourself that you will continue trying. You will continue trying even if you fail. And when you fail, you get up and brush yourself off and try again. You will continue even if you laughed at. You will continue even if you lose. Because guess what? Life is not always about where you end up. It's about the journey. It's about the attitude. It's about the determination. It's about never giving up.
You have to schedule your time. Don't just stuff studying into cracks in your schedule. Your schedule should be built around studying. What does this mean? This means have an exact set time during the day when you start to study. For me, I remember it was about 6 p.m. I would always say to myself, okay, 6 p.m., I get back from school, I rest a little bit, and then at 6 p.m., that's my study time. It starts. How long does it go? Well, that depends on how much assignments and homework I have, but it would go for at least an hour or two, and sometimes it would go for 4 or 5 or 6 hours. And it would start at 6, and you would usually end like around 9 or 10 or after that. And it would vary. But I think what's really important is to have that starting time. 6, no matter what, 6. Sit down and study. Open the books, sit down, study. It doesn't have to be 6 for you, just come up with your own time. And you're doing this every single day. What's important about this is that it leads us to the next point, which is you have to get comfortable and you have to slow yourself down in order to study effectively. You can't rush the studying process. And one of the secrets that I use is simply brute force, right? A lot of the issues as a student that I dealt with, the things that I couldn't understand, I just brute forced them through repetition. And this repetition can take time. Also, you have to be patient with yourself. Sometimes you're not going to understand the problem right off the bat. So you just kind of repeat it, mull it over, and that means sometimes it takes you longer. So instead of finishing a quick little math assignment in an hour, it might take you 3 hours. But that's worth it if you calm yourself down, get comfortable, slow yourself down, kind of open yourself to absorbing this information. Right? This is where the love of it comes in. If you don't love it and what you're doing is you're just kind of rush studying through stuff just to learn it, like cramming for an exam, that's just horrible. That's horrible. Because all you're trying to do is you're like a dog jumping through hoops. That's basically what you are when you're doing that. Because you're saying to yourself, well, I got to pass this exam in order to get into college, to get good grades so my parents like me. That's just hoops like a dog you're jumping through. Don't do that. Instead, what you think about is like this. Okay, this subject matter is really fascinating. Let me study more. Let me learn more. I want to know how math interconnects with history, and I want to know how history interconnects with science, and I want to know how this and this connect, and I want to know more depth about this thing here. That's how you got to think.
I don't think there's any magic in being successful. And I'm not talking about making $1 million or $1 billion. I'm just talking about being successful. I'm talking about being successful in what you guys do at work. I don't think there's any magic. You got to work hard. Yeah. You got to respect the people around you, and you just got to go. I've never met a successful person that doesn't work hard.
There are 2 rules that I always adhere to, and that is to work hard and be brave. And I think the essence of hard work is one that's pretty straightforward, is that you'll never be the best looking, you'll never be the tallest, most talented, most capable, you'll never have the most money. There will always be someone who's better at whatever you're doing than you are. But you can always be the hardest working person in the room. And I think the hardest working person will always win.
Who must you become in order to create what you want? What has to change about you? What is it that you're doing right now that would be a liability for you? As you begin to look toward the future and take inventory of yourself, what is it about you right now that you've got to leave this behind because this no longer fits? Looking at where you want to go and the kind of person that you must become, the kind of standards that you have for you. What is it that you must do differently?
Your mind of all distractions. I used to hold the record for the fastest to memorize a deck of cards in the United States. And sometimes before I would memorize a deck of cards, my brain would be worried about things in my life or things that were going on. So what I would do to clear my mind of all distractions is I would close my eyes and I would visualize those scenarios the way that I wish they were, or the way that I hope they would be one day. And then I would open my eyes, I would be relieved of that stress, and then I would memorize a deck of cards. Clear your mind of all distractions. Maybe close your eyes and visualize the things the way you wish they could be, and then focus on your studying.
Depending on how well you want to do, and particularly if you're starting a company, you need to work super hard. So what does super hard mean? Well, when my brother and I were starting our first company, instead of getting an apartment, we just rented a small office and we slept on the couch. And we showered at the YMCA, and we're so hot up we had just one computer, so the website was up during the day, and I was coding at night, 7 days a week, all the time. And I sort of briefly had a girlfriend in that period, and in order to be with me, she had to sleep in the office. So work hard, like, every waking hour. That's the thing I would say, particularly if you're starting a company. And I mean, if you do simple math, you say like, okay, if somebody else is working 50 hours and you're working 100, you'll get twice as much done in the course of a year as the other company.
If you want to learn something faster, you must first and foremost know the connection between what you want to learn and your dream life, your real lifestyle that you want to have. I tell people all the time, like, don't just come up with things you want to learn, because guess what? We want to learn everything. By human build, we are curious animals. We're deathly curious. I mean, we are literally the curiosity killed the cat sort of society right now. Everyone wants to learn 50 new things immediately, but no one ever learns anything. Why? Because it's not real for them. It's a transient desire. If you want to become a great learner, it has to be attached to a dream life of yours. A true lifestyle that you see for yourself.
Studying must be a priority. You can make all your dreams become a reality if you stop studying just when you feel like it and make it a priority. You're studying after you go out with your friends. You're studying after you've watched TV. You're leaving your studying until you're bored and have nothing to do. Then you study. You're not serious. You're not eating it. You're not dreaming it. It's not haunting your dreams at night. You pass your exams, you get to the top of the class. It will open doors. I promise you that. You've got to shut the TV down. You've got to shut certain people down. You need to optimize your life. That homework, you can get it done. That exam, you can get it done. That degree, you can get it done. But you're doing it in your leisure time. Listen to me. You're not making your studying a priority. You're not making your education a priority. There's some stuff you gotta shut down. Whatever your goals are, it can get done. You can get it done. And how will we do it? We will do it by listing our priorities. We will do it by shutting everything else out. We will do it by saying no to everything that does not apply to our priorities. We will do it by getting focused, laser focused. We will do it by waking up every single day and taking every moment of the day and focusing on what's a priority. And then, when we get to the end of the year, we will not be disappointed. We will not be defeated. We will not be destroyed. When we get to the end of the year, we will not be disappointed. This will not be another disappointing year. This will not be another year of excuses. This will not be another year where you avoid work. This will be the year that you stop half doing stuff. You stop half doing your homework. You stop half doing your exams. You stop half doing your studying. This will be the year of execution. If not now, when? If not you, who? Look, I never told you it would be easy, but it's doable. It's not going to be easy, but it will get done. Let me give you an example. This is how I did it. I turned my paper in 4 weeks early, and she sent it back to me with a whole bunch of red. I fixed it and gave it back to her, and she gave me some more red. So I fixed it again and gave it back to her, and she told me, "You don't really write that well. I don't know if you're gonna be able to get a 4.0. I said, "Look, where I come from, it's not all about skill. Let me tell you something. You will miss a lot of shows fooling with me. Your family will not get a lot of family time. You will check my paper over and over and over. I'm being real. I will not stop turning in my paper. You will keep grading my paper. And if I were you, I would help me to make the corrections so you don't gotta keep dealing with me. But if you think I'm going to quit, I promise you, I will be at your office hours, every office hour. I will haunt you in your sleep until I achieve what I want to achieve." There are people with incredible talent and no motivation. And then there are other people who are willing to work their tails off, who don't have a natural ability, but will become successful because they're so determined. You know, every time you lose at something, you're one step closer to winning the next time. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is simple. Unsuccessful people give up. The hardest thing in life to learn is to lose. You win, you're happy. You get a high five. Your friends are happy. That's easy. It's your ability to take a loss, get up the next day, dust yourself off, and keep going that really determines your true character. I just want to encourage everybody out there, listen to me. Your day is coming, but you gotta do me a favor. You gotta sit down and you gotta look at your life and you gotta look at the work you're putting in. You gotta look at how much you procrastinate. You've gotta pay attention and look at where you're going wrong. Look at where you can improve, and you put it all together, and before you know it, you've got the grades that you were aiming for. You've got the career you were aiming for. You've got the car and the house you were dreaming of. If you're willing to grind it out, you can get it done.
This is kind of hard to understand, but sometimes you can try so hard at something. Sometimes you can be so prepared and still fail. And with every time you fail, it's painful. It causes sadness. And especially as I saw last night, it causes disappointment. I've often said a man's character is not judged after he celebrates a victory, but by what he does when his back is against the wall. So no matter how great the setback, how severe the failure, you never give up. You never give up. You pick yourself up, you brush yourself off, you push forward, you move on, you adapt, you overcome. That is what I believe. Everybody here, everybody watching, I won't be stopped. I can't be stopped.
You're either committed or you aren't. You're either willing to do everything it takes, whatever that might be, or you aren't. You either are willing to go through hell and high water and fire and brimstone to get to your goals, or you aren't.
Work on yourself. Work on your focus. You cannot stop. You gotta work. The problem with you is you see difficult as something negative. I want you to see difficult differently. Are you hearing me? I need you to push through that stuff. Push through it. You can't get through it. The more you go through, the more difficult it is, the more challenging it is. Listen to me, the harder it is. Are you hearing me? The more challenging it is, all you're doing, baby, is building muscles. In life, you're either going to a storm, in a storm, or you coming out. It's a part of life. There's no way around it. So just be careful not to allow the trials and the tribulations to consume you. I don't care if you're a billionaire. I don't care if you're a CEO of one of the most important companies. I don't care if you're an entertainer. Like, I don't care who you are. You can go to the moon. We all have problems. What I'm trying to tell you is this, though. Problems are a part of life. But guess what? They're not life.
It's not going to be easy. There are moments when you're going to doubt yourself. There are rough times are going to come, but they have not come to stay. No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, you've got to make it your personal business to make it happen.
A lot of people say, oh, I just want to sort of, they're kind of dabbling in the idea of improving themselves. And the real way to do it is you got to write down what the fuck you want and then go after it. If you decide, I'm going to get down to bang, I'm going to do this, I'm going to run a marathon in less than 5 hours, I'm going to, you know, whatever the fuck it is, you got to write that shit down and go for it. Well, my workout I schedule every Sunday. I schedule everything that I'm going to do during the week. I say I have to do yoga 2 times this week, I have to lift weights 3 times this week, I have to run twice this week, and however I fit that in, I fit that in, but I owe those things. And you don't need 2.5 hours. You can get a great workout in 40 minutes, and that's all you need for the whole day, 100%. Yes. You know, this idea of time, like how much time did you put in today? Like, you could work out in a bullshit manner for 2 hours and not get nearly as much done as you can for a half hour hard just running. So I have to get those things in. The only exceptions are injuries and sickness. I do everything that I can to put my body and my brain in a good place so that I'm keeping my engine smooth. I'm changing my oil, I'm changing my spark plugs, I'm making sure that it's operating. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but I know that I've done my best to keep it working the best that it can. There's consequences that you pay to constantly seeking comfort and avoiding discomfort and avoiding hard work. And those consequences are you're never going to feel self-realized, you're never going to feel like you accomplished anything, you're never going to have this feeling of understanding that difficulty and struggle and the ability to push through that is a muscle, and you develop that muscle by doing it. And once you do, you develop a lot of self-satisfaction, and you develop peace of mind, and you understand that you can overcome obstacles. If you don't have to overcome obstacles, you never know whether or not you can. Unless you are faced with actual adversity, you don't understand how you're going to feel and how you're going to react when you overcome that adversity. Things that are difficult, when you do these difficult things, you're stressing your mind, or I should say, don't even stressing your mind, exercising your mind and exercising your body's ability to manage intense situations. It's hard, it's very difficult, it's very testing. And in doing so, you lessen the stress of regular life. The more stressful situations that I experience, the more I understand what they are and the more I can relax. But it's also like a matter of constantly being exposed to these stressful situations where there's not a long break in between doing stand-up or a long break in between martial arts training where to the point where anxiety can build up, and then once you get into it, it's almost an unusual situation instead of a usual one. What I tell people is the best advice that I've ever heard, the best advice I ever came up with, is that live your life like you're the hero in your movie. And right now is when the fucking movie starts and your life is a shitbag disaster. Pretend you are, right now, you're in the part of the movie that starts and it shows you as a fucking loser. And just decide not to be a loser anymore. Live your life like there's a documentary crew following you around and you are analyzing your own behavior. Do what you would want to do so that your kids one day would look back at it and see that documentary and look on it with pride, like, wow, my dad was a bad motherfucker. He really did what he had to do. Wow, my mom really got her shit together. I love a success story, but even more than a success story, I like a dude who fucks his life up and then gets it back together again story. Those are my favorite stories. And the way to do that, you gotta write shit down. You gotta think that you are the hero in your own fucking movie, and then you gotta sit down and you gotta write shit down. Write down what you need to do.